was gonna lie to you, but I had to tell the truth. I'm just being honest.
And so I was going to ask you about the infamous Angie Martinez interview.
I'm at my office. Y'all can sit on this interview with her and talk as long as y'all want to talk about it. Or you can take the invitation I gave you before. But it's not even getting there because of your get on the radio, whatever tactics. I ain't your enemy.
Dog,
I ain't your enemy. You need to bang like that on cats that's coming at you. I ain't your enemy.
Just yesterday we got a note from your office
about killing you.
saying you don't have no idea of none of this or none of nothing.
Just yesterday, your lawyer told us that.
I see you at the show backstage. You said find out what it was.
But don't sit here and portray like Puff took nothing from y'all.
What is it then? What is it? What do you call it? What do you call it? What do you call it? And don't say we can come in your office or do none of that, because we can't do none of that.
We
can't handle it no other way but with lawyers, and you know that, so don't get on the radio and act like a tough guy or none of that.
Wait, you know how we can settle?
You acting tough.
I'm in my office, so why don't we stop talking on the radio?
Now, you want people to stop talking because you just don't want to know the truth, dog. We made one record with you, Money, Power, Respect. It's 10 years later, and you still got half of our publishing. Now, there's no way you can make it justifiable that you deserve half of our publishing.
You were very vocal about your displeasure at a certain record label owner at the time that had basically had you held in a contract that that was very predatory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Young, radical, only having the streets, you know, the power of the people behind us. That was the only thing, the only way to grab attention at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There was no, I couldn't go on, I couldn't go live, I couldn't tweet anything.
Mm-hmm.
Back then the radio was only power.
What I found most interesting about that is the fact that you were fearless. Like, it was, and if you guys haven't figured it out, we're talking about Diddy, but it seemed like the reason why he was able to carry on for over 30 years, just kind of screwing over artists and whatever else he had going on in his personal life that was allegedly illegal, you were one of the only people that was vocal about how disgusting you found this contract, how much you wanted out of it, and what your personal feelings were about him.
I can't take the credit for that. You gotta give it to all three of the locks, all of us as a whole. But yeah, we was young, we were smarter than we appeared to look. And we just felt something wasn't right within that contract. And we knew going against them at the time would be a very big risk, because it could either go wrong or wrong.
Yeah, expensive.
Yeah, very expensive or very time consuming or both, and then your career is finished. So we knew that we was taking a chance, and you know, with the Lord with us, we was able to come to an agreement and part ways and then remain cool.
It was reported that you had to pay like $3 million to get out of your contract.
Not sure what the dollar is to the penny, but it's definitely in the scope. Jimmy Iovine and Rough Riders, and they definitely paid something nice.
How did that affect your, I guess your impression of the industry? Because like you said, you and the rest of the locks were, hit the ground running, really an impressive group, and then this happens.
I think what we did will be recognized much longer after we no longer here, when artists really start caring about the business side of it. You know what I mean? Because we were fortunate to want to know as much about the business as the glitz and the glamour and the fame and all that.
Yeah.
So we were able to catch it. But I think we was just fortunate. and blessed and come from good households, and we thought about things that they probably wouldn't think we was thinking about to be that young.
Bang.
Straight
bang,
from the
bang,
desk of the legend, the lyrical assassin, Jadakiss of the legendary group The Lox. And this clip is from Melissa Ford's Hot and Bothered podcast. I'll leave a link in the description. Y'all can check that out as Kiss dropped a lot of truth and knowledge in this interview. Something we can all use and can't get enough of that, right? And the Lox are one of the best groups of all time, one of the most talented groups of all time, one of my favorite groups of all time, right? And they were on Bad Boy early in the beginning. That's why I learned of them. And like I said about the situation with A-Ball and MJG, it pertains to the Lox too. They've always been real. They've always been thorough. And anybody who's a fan of the Lox likes them for one reason, like I always tell y'all, the music. The bars are crazy. We don't like the Lox for nothing else. Now, if you look in that interview, Jadakiss mentioned that you will never, ever see them bashing one another or talking them down on one another or writing books or tell-all books on the other group members. He said you would never see that between himself, Styles P, and Sheek Louch. And I said the same thing about A-Ball and JG. They don't really play the industry games. So, you know, they've been kind of outcasted in a way, right? They don't really get the attention that they deserve, but the real know. The real know. The Lox are the truth. Don't run up. Just don't run up on them, bro. Like those who know. And like he said, in my mind, the Lox were the first people that were public and what they were talking about with their feud with Diddy, right? And asking for their freedom, so to speak, from Bad Boy. And they achieved that, and they went on to Rough Riders, and they ended up dropping We Are the Streets. And if you check, We Are the Streets is one of the best albums of all time. I'll tell y'all that too. I need to make my list of best albums of all time, but it'll rank somewhere in there. Check that out. They got a skit on there talking about slaving for record labels, right? He was talking about Bad Boy. So the Lox were one of the first groups that were talking about Diddy back in the day. Not all the stuff that you're hearing now, we're talking about industry politics. So yeah, and they don't get credit for that, but the real usually don't, right? He said that'll happen eventually. But yeah, let me know what y'all think of the Lox and what he said about him being on Bad Boy and them knowing that something was just fishy about that contract from the beginning. And yeah, what y'all think about Jadakiss and the Lox, and I'll keep y'all in the news until then. Chill.